to one and all present here at the inaugural function of the Joint Project Interpreting Workshop under the purview of the INDO-SWISS Translation and Interpreting Professionalization, organized in collaboration with the School of Humanities of Pondicherry University and the School of Applied Linguistics of Zurich University.
Respected Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh Ji, Professor Michaela, Professor Barbara, and Professor Amber, Professor Paneer Selvam, all esteemed guests from other departments, deans of the other schools, and all the respected guests of the dais, and of course, my dear students. Bonjour. Namaskar, Vanakkam, and I should say today, Guten Morgen, since our friends are from Switzerland, actually the German-speaking side of Switzerland. So, as Nelson Mandela says, when you speak to somebody in a language that he understands, it goes straight to his brains. But if you speak the language, his language, it goes straight to the heart. And actually, in the globalized era that we are living in, knowing a language promotes many links, many bondings, and furthers all kinds of cooperation. In fact, I think it was around 2 years back that me and Professor Michaela met. It was just a casual meeting, and both of us discovered that we in Pondicherry are having a focus on translation and interpreting, and they too have an institute of translation and interpreting. And that's how the collaboration started. So the collaboration started brick by brick, piecemeal fashion, but finally we have signed an MOU with the ZRW, as they call it, the Zurich University of Applied Sciences, and particularly with the School of Applied Linguistics, in which this Institute of Translation and Interpreting. They prefer using interpreting instead of what we use as interpretation. And I thought that this was a perfect occasion to organize this workshop on interpreting. In fact, at one point of time, we used to have workshops in collaboration with Renault Nissan, which were basically on translation. And we have had many seminars on the same theme. Interpreting also has been part of our focus. So actually speaking, this is the first hands-on interpreting workshop that our students are going to benefit from. And it comes aptly because I just returned from the Jaipur Literature Festival, where I was a part of the jury, and translation was a important focus in that literature festival. And in fact, last year there was this is particularly for the Romain Rolland Prize, which is instituted by the French Embassy. Last year it was a Hindi translation which won the prize, and this year it's a Tamil translation by one of our former colleagues, Professor Krishnamurthy. So translation, interpreting are the main themes nowadays in order to promote whatever collaborative projects we have. And in fact, this workshop is under the purview of the Joint Project Interpreting purview. And what I would say is that if one person, language and communication are primordial, because if you don't have both, if you don't have the skills needed, you can't make yourself understood. Because many people will say that science is the main important matter in all fields of life. But I would say that science also cannot have its success if you don't know how to put forth your ideas. So language is what counts. language is the key note for everything. And in fact, there's an anecdote which goes that there was Mrs. Indira Gandhi who had to go to Russia, and she wanted the translation of the sentence, the quote from the New Testament. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And those were the days when machine translation started. So she put it into the machine, and out came the sentence that the vodka was good, but the caviar had gone bad. So you should know exactly what to put, the right word, the apt word, in the right circumstances. And if you have the gift of the gab, nothing like it to make yourself understood and to make your message reach. And all this, of course, takes immense hard work. But as they say, work hard in silence and let your success speak for itself, and let your success make noise. And as everybody knows, success is sweet, but its secret is sweat. And I hope that what we have labored for in order to promote this collaborative project will go places, and that we can extend it to other departments in our university, so that more benefit, because now it's restricted to the School of Humanities and under the Study India program. But in case other departments, because we have many strong departments in the university, so if it can go to their side also and promote ties, nothing like it. So thank you so much, and all the very best for this workshop to the participants. And because our experts from ZRW wanted a small group so that they can work in concentration, so we don't have, the workshop is only restricted to a small group. So I wish all the best to all the participants of this workshop. And of course, on Wednesday morning and on Friday morning, we have a lecture by Professor Michaela, which is open to all. And don't be scared, because the people from the other department always think that our seminars are in French. This time it's going to be in English. So it is open to all. You're most welcome to come and attend it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam, for that gracious welcome. Atiti Devo Bhava. For us in India, a guest is akin to God. Hence, we take great pride in honoring them. Therefore, I would now request Professor Nalini J. Thampi to present a shawl and the other tokens of respect to our Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh. The Indian governmental platform of Swayam designated the French department of Pondicherry University as the National Resource Center for the MOOC modules on French studies, the first in India, just as the French SAP project is. Hence, I'd like now to call upon Professor S. Paneerselvam, Head of Department French, to give a brief about the course offered by a university, MA French Translation and Interpretation, the only such course in India.
Good morning, one and all. Esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh ji, distinguished experts from Zurich University, Professor Michaela Alb, Dr. Barbara Brandi, Dr. Amber Louise Williamson, respected Dean, School of Humanities, Dr. Nalini Jaitambi, dear colleagues from the Department of French and other departments, my dear students and research scholars. I deem it a great honor and prestige to participate in this inaugural function. I am very glad also to present our MA French Translation and Interpretation program. Before our university came into existence, all the colleges in Pondicherry were affiliated to the University of Madras. When our university, with a special status of affiliating and residential university, was started in 1985-86, it was decided to have in the university departments PG courses which are different from those offered in affiliated colleges. For example, if they offer in the college MA English, we started in our Department of English of Pondicherry University, MA English Literature and Comparative Literature. Similarly, there in the college we had MA French, whereas here we wanted to start a different course, and the nomenclature was MA French Translation and Interpretation. It was thus that we started the course which is unique in India. In Pondicherry University, the courses introduced were, as I said, MA English Comparative Literature, MA Functional Tamil, MA Translation and Interpretation. All those courses were different from the courses offered in the college in the respective departments. After JNU, we are proud of having this MA French Translation and Interpretation program in our university. The main thrust area of the course is translation, but in order to facilitate our students appearing in NET JRF examination, the syllabus is designed in such a way that the linguistics, literature, Francophone literature, civilization, French literature, history of French literature, etc. are all included. The first batch had only 5 students when we started in 1987. There were only 5 students on the roll, and now the strength has gone up to 60. Though we teach the theory of interpretation, our students have not got so far the opportunity to get hand-on practical knowledge in interpretation. We are trying to get an interpretation lab with different language booths. This interpreting workshop will throw more light on the practical aspects of interpretation. With these few words, I thank the organizers for having given me this opportunity. Thank you.
Merci, Monsieur, for this limpid presentation. Our university logo and motto urges us to soar towards light, vers la lumière. Tamaso ma jyotir gamaya. Hence, may I kindly request our esteemed guests to light the traditional lamp and thus formally launch this workshop on interpreting. Dr. Michaela Albel Maikasa is Professor for Interpreting Studies in the School of Applied Linguistics at the Zurich University. She is an expert in the field of developing interpreter competence and cognitive foundations of interpreting, as well as on interpreting, translation and English as a lingua franca ITELF and public service interpreting. I now invite Professor Michaela Albel Maikasa to throw light on the scope of the Memorandum of Understanding.
Esteemed Vice Chancellor, dear colleagues from the French Department, dear colleagues from ZHAW, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a great pleasure for us, for my colleagues and myself, to be at your institution, to be at your university. And we've been very fortunate to be able to embark on ISTIP, our joint Indo-Swiss translation and interpreting professionalization project. As Professor Nalini said before, I had the opportunity to come to Pondicherry some 2 years ago. And what we realized is that the French department is really a forerunner in translation and interpreting studies in India. Because India, as Switzerland, is a multilingual country. We have many things in common. The difference is maybe that we are tiny and you are huge. And obviously India has a lot to offer, where we are even smaller from my perspective, as you know. So the point I realized is that the difference in terms of multilingualism in India is that somehow people speaking so many languages, they take it for granted. They think, okay, everybody speaks a lot of languages. There is English, there is Hindi, maybe not in Tamil Nadu, but there is Hindi as a lingua franca in some parts of India, and then there is English, to some extent French here. And in Europe, English is taking over to some extent, but not to the same extent yet. Especially in Switzerland, we have the United Nations organizations. I myself, I'm German. I work at a Swiss university, but I live in Germany, and we have the the European institutions, the EU institutions. So translation and interpreting plays a major role, and this is why we have a number of universities, prominent universities, who teach translation and interpreting in order to have professional interpreters and translators. And I was quite amazed to find that multilingualism is so taken for granted here that nobody really bothers and worries about translation and interpreting unless it's in the literary field. You have a lot of literary translation, but you don't have it in a market-oriented, technical, professional way as we have it. And I also met the head of the Indian Translators and Interpreters Association. This association exists in New Delhi. And he told me that there is actually quite a need for professional translators and interpreters, but that the training opportunities are not there. So at your department, you are really a forerunner in having a translation masters here. But elsewhere in India, you don't really find it. So the idea was, how could we exchange our perspectives, our expertise? Obviously, universities operate internationally. Switzerland has a number of interests in having exchanges with countries, especially like India, an emerging Asian power. A democracy, a country full of young people who are eager to learn and to do something with their many skills and qualities, especially with their languages as well. So the idea was to use the ISTIP project to really see to what extent we could exchange ourselves, and perhaps also to bring home to you a little bit of what we do in terms of professional interpreter and translator training in our Swiss university. And this is what we are going to try to do. I'm really very grateful that you are giving us the opportunity. I'm very grateful to the Vice Chancellor that he has agreed to sign an MOU, because that gives the whole cooperative enterprise a basis on which we can operate much more systematically, in a much more fundamental way. That really gives us a basis from which to proceed. And I'm really very grateful that this was made possible and that there is such an openness for our cooperation. And I'm very grateful for Nalini, who, as my colleague, was very, very, was really pushing things and really being very alert on what it took in order to make this possible. She was organizing things in a phenomenal way, and I'm very, very grateful that this could happen. She also visited us in Zurich in Winterthur in October. So we had an opportunity to exchange ourselves. She had insights into what we do at our university, and on that basis we tried to put it together, and we hope that the workshop will really give you some insights which may be of use for you to use your many languages in a way which extends to the literary field. And speaking of the workshop, I would like to invite my two colleagues to say a word on the very operational and practical parts of the workshop. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We're delighted to be here, and thank you for this wonderful welcome with gifts. Who'd have thought it? It's very kind indeed, and we feel hugely spoilt to be able to be here with you, and are very much looking forward to sharing a little bit of our expertise with you over the week. Our week's workshop has a very strategic structure for you. The week is designed to give you just enough input to get you going, but it's very much a starting point. And it has been designed as such that the first 2 days will break down the interpreting process so that you can have a look at the different elements of interpreting, what it means to be an interpreter, what it means to behave professionally as an interpreter. So a little later on today, we'll be breaking the interpreting process down into these little parts that might initially seem somewhat absurd because they're not actually only about language, because, as I'm sure you're aware, there is far more to language than just words. And whenever you're providing interpreting services, you're helping two people communicate with one another who wouldn't usually be able to do so. So your work as an interpreter has a direct impact on people's lives. And this is something we want to emphasize on the first day. On the second day, we will be putting all of these pieces together, and students will be encouraged to experiment with their interpreting performance and find out for themselves what it means to assume this role in the communicative situation. This will come together tomorrow afternoon in an entire enactment of an interpreting scenario where we'll be able to give each other feedback, reflect on our own performance, and really get to the roots of what this kind of situation is, looking at the dynamics and splitting it up into its individual components. The rest of the week will be a far more academic and straightforward approach. We'll have lectures on Wednesday and Friday morning, and the other half days will be very target-oriented workshops in different interpreting disciplines. And I'm sure Barbara will tell you a little more about these specific exercises. So thank you very much indeed for this warm welcome. I'm delighted to have you.
On Thursday morning, we will start we do a bit of consecutive interpreting, and we take it step by step. So it'll get more difficult. Starts very easy. We look into note taking. We won't tell you anything what to do. We'll only tell you first exercise, no note taking. Then we'll let you find out where and when note taking would make sense and how much of note taking. This will continue on Thursday morning. We have a reflection on note taking. What is needed, what you think is necessary, what was too much, and then we look at something a bit more systematic. We look at the note-taking theory by Rosan. In the second half of Thursday morning, we'll look at the way you can find terminology, how to prepare your interpreting assignments. We look at different ways of finding terminology, how to put it together, what is necessary, what is important, what kind of terminology you should look for, how you can prepare for your assignment. Then in the afternoon we do another exercise that is some kind of interpreting. It's side translation from written to spoken. And we'll do that from English into different languages. Could be Tamil, could be into French. You'll see. Yeah, we will practice different things. And on Friday morning, as you've already mentioned, Amber, there'll be another lecture for everybody. What I've just talked about was just for the participants. There will be a lecture by Professor Michaela. And on Friday afternoon, we have a recap and look into some other things that relate to interpreting. And then we go home. We leave you, all the participants, but maybe also the whole group, we want to leave you hungry for more information. You know, this is just a sort of a quick overview. Of course, you cannot learn how to do this kind of job within a week. Yeah, it would take much, much longer, but we want to make you curious and hungry for more. So that's our plan, and I hope you'll all be ready to participate and open it with an open mind, because you have to do a lot of acting, and we have a few surprises for you. So wish you a very good workshop and a wonderful week.
An inspiring teacher and mentor of research, Professor Singh has guided 14 MPhil and 50 PhD scholars. Several of these resulting contributions have received accolades and Best Paper awards at national and international conferences. He is known as a renowned academic administrator and internationally reputed expert in the field of corrosion science and smart materials. We will now have the pleasure of listening to the presidential address of our respected Vice-Chancellor, Professor Gurmeet Singh.
Good morning, everybody. Or I should have said Guten Tag. This little German that I read long time back when I was there way back in September 1981 for a research assignment. Professor Michaela Mikasa, Dr. Barbara, and Dr. Amber Louise Williamsons, and my colleagues, Professor Paneer Selvam, head of the French department, and Professor Nalini Thampi, the brain behind these activities, which are very important from students' point of view. My colleagues sitting here, students, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me an immense pleasure to be here with you on this occasion, because in my opinion, this translational activity is very important, and unless the nitty-gritties are taught, I don't think one can really make a headway in this. It is not that easy, let me tell you, but it becomes very easy if somebody shows you the way, the path, how best to go about it. I remember I was in Korea way back in 2008, and when we used to go to the store, I used to find it very difficult to know, because there was not a word of English anywhere. And we would ask somebody in the store, people would not know. We used to find it very difficult how to go about. Then I attended one such workshop for half a day. And there was a British professor who learned Korean, and he wrote a book, How to Learn Korean, Hangul they used to call it, in 24 hours. So this was a very big surprise. And there was a CD in that, wherein the exact pronunciation would also be indicated. Very simple mathematical way of learning language. So I picked up that book and picked up the art of knowing what exactly it is. And believe me, in about 3 days of practice, I could manage myself whenever I used to go for my shopping in the stores without asking anybody that what is milk and what is butter and what is cauliflower or potato or whatever. Of course, you could see those things, but then at times that used to be convenient. And this was possible when I attended that. Had I not been organized, I don't think I would have learned anything out of that. That book I still have. And similarly, here also, you're having this opportunity. Many universities will not be able to have such an event wherein they'll be able to get into these kind of exercises. I'm very happy that our French colleagues in the French department here have taken a lead, and they have traveled across to Zurich, met them, and discussed what possibly we can do. And let me tell you, when about 7-8 days back, 21st January, I suppose, when they met me, we deliberated on the already existing MOU, and I said, why don't you widen it a little more so that every department gets the benefit of our collaboration? And they also agreed, I also agreed, and we are in the process of widening the network of understanding now. And I hope every department would be benefiting out of it. Now, some of you who may not be from French or German side, they will understand why should we be attending this? It is of no use to me. I see people from Sanskrit here. They'll say, why should we attend this thing? No, knowing a language is always an advantage, let me tell you. We had a prime minister who used to know 14 languages, 7 foreign languages, and I think about 8 Indian languages, and he was fluent. Not that he will look at any dictionary or some, but he was so fluent that he'll be able to write, he'll be able to understand, and he would be able to converse very conveniently. I'm talking about Mr. P.V. Narasimha Rao, very modest prime minister, but his contribution to our economy is a great deal. People don't give him the right weightage which he deserved to have it because of obvious reasons. I'm not going to get into the details of this. So this is a very important occasion wherein, as Dr. Amber had told, that wait for this. There's a lot of exciting thing in this workshop. You know, as long as you can get some hints about how to go about, as long as you can get some hints about what to read, which book to consult, how to go about it, the moment you can get this, I think you will have your own way of learning this. I had a student of mine who was from Chennai. He did his doctorate with me, and then he was very keen to go abroad. He eventually did go to Singapore, and from Singapore he went to Japan, where he did a remarkable work. He was given the Young Scientist Award and residencies to stay on for 9 years. Why I am mentioning this is that he was a very keen learner, and in the first 6 months he learned Japanese in such a wonderful way that even the colloquial part of the language he would be able to understand. So not only that, he took on to singing, and a stage came when he became such a popular singer in the city of Tsukuba, which is a scientific city, that after 9 o'clock, 3 times in a week, he would be invited to the labs to give performance. And he's an excellent mridangam player, let me tell you. Now he's back to Chennai. In all the good temple performances that you will have, you will find on mridangam, Dr. Sethu Madhavan will be the one who will be playing. So it's an art which one should exploit, which one should explore. We are all talented people, but we don't get into this habit of making use of the time in the best of ways so that we can pick up as much as we can. We think of that it's not of my cup of tea, I will not learn. There is nothing like that. You never know which is the best hidden potential you have, which you have not been able to explore. So these are the opportunities which you should make use of. I'm reminded of one more incident. I was attending a very, very well attended, about 800 of those audience was there, and this was again in Japan. One of our senior fellows was addressing, and he was told that this is what you have to convey, this is this kind of an occasion. And he picked up the art like we have. If I say Nirmala, we say it is a female, Nirmal, it is a male. So we will immediately pick up a mathematical root. The moment you add A, it becomes a female name. So there he was told Yoel. Yoel is, I'm forgetting the exact word, but Yoel is for male, and this is what you have to address. So he, in order to over-impress the audience, he started saying Yoel means male members, and to impress the female, he started saying Yoela, without knowing whether it is a correct word or not. And he gave a fantastic lecture, which everybody appreciated, but the moment he will say Yoel, people will appreciate, there will be big clapping, and the moment it will be Yoela, there will be a stunned silence, with a very dirty grin on the faces of the audience, that what the hell is he talking about? So 3-4 times he used this, and same thing happened. Very big applause, and then suddenly deafening silence. So then he asked at the end of that, why is it that there was a silence and a very dirty expression? He said, sir, you in your over-enthusiasm to impress the audience, you thought Yola is a female, Yol is male, and Yola is male urinals. So he said, every time you were using that word, this is what was going across. So you have to be very careful by picking up the right word. Don't say that if I add A, it will become female name. So, and don't take this impression that translation is going to be very easy. I'll pick up few formulas here and there and I'll be a master of that. What our experts have advised you, that please attend to that. You have a very big surprise in store for you. Maybe they are going to give you some books, maybe they are going to give you some hints at how best to pick it up. So my suggestion, I'll urge all my young friends here to make best use of this. Such opportunities do not come very often, and you are one of the lucky few that our university is in a position to organize such events for you. So make best use of it and do very well. If you do this, let me tell you, you will tend to perform far better in life as compared to the others who do not pay attention to such workshops or conferences or symposia that we organize in our university. The difference between a commoner, normal, average student and an exceptionally brilliant student is that a brilliant student will make use of every opportunity that comes one's way and one would try to interact with as much as one can. The other will say, no, this is not, I'm not interested in politics, so why should I listen to somebody of this field? The other fellow will listen to everything, and that is how one becomes different from others, a cut above others, and this is what you need to do, and this is an opportunity in that direction. So thank you very much for coming over here and agreeing to host this workshop. Let me tell you, we are very open and we are ready for any kind of collaboration for the benefit of our mutual benefit of our academic staff and students. So I wish the workshop grand success and hope our young ones will encash on this opportunity which has been given to you and make the best use of this. Thank you very much and God bless you.
Thank you, sir, for the eloquent discourse and for always encouraging us with your kind support. A huge round of applause for sir again, please. Thank you. I now would like to thank all who helped make this workshop happen, especially the authorities and admin of Pondicherry University and Zurich University School of Applied Linguistics, the Pondicherry University Electrical Wing, Engineering Wing, the faculty members, the students, the staff of School of Humanities, particularly from the French department to mention just a few, Dr. Priyabroto Shu, Dr. Sharmila Acharif, Dr. Jayapal Sharmili. Can we have round of applause for them, please? Dr. C. Thirumurugan, Surya Prakash, Lisa, Prasanna, Alok Kumar Tiwari on the camera, and Preeti Mohan as the anchor of this event.